Welcome to the Heather Pitty Podcast. This podcast is about going after the life that you're made for, not just surviving life, but actually thriving. So thanks for joining us. Let's jump in. Hi, Michelle. So good to see your face.
Hello, Heather. Likewise. That's just a smile I'll carry for the rest of the week. I love it.
Well, I love yours too. And I love your infectious laugh. We've had lots of great conversations together, haven't we?
We have. Yeah.
Well, I'm doing a kind of a series on responses to my book, The Life You're Made For. And you're one of the people I have sent the book to and said, hey, tell me what you think about it. What's your thoughts on it? And it was so fun to hear some of your responses to 3C Living. And of course, I'm asking people, how are you applying it? Just so we can learn from one another and kind of grow our collective intelligence. So you share as much or as little as you'd like to share about 3C Living. But I want to open it up a little bit and just have you introduce yourself to everyone and tell us a little bit of what you do, what you're about, maybe what you enjoy doing on your time off even.
Yeah, yes. All right, Heather, thank you for inviting me. I am just a normal person working to live an extraordinary life. If I can just say that, it's I grew into that just saying, not being boxed in. I now live in the Pacific Northwest, and it's been almost 2 years that I've lived here. And so amidst all of what will likely come up in our conversation is the fact that I moved my family during the beginning of the pandemic, which already started the change. There is no such thing as returning back to normal. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
And how has that impacted the way I show up on my day-to-day basis? Professionally, I work. I'm a digital marketer. I do communications. And most of all, I like to impact people. It's the way I'm wired. Sure, let's get things done, right? Achiever. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes. Oh, I remember. Yes, my fellow achiever. We both have that. We might be dangerous together.
We are. We will bust it out, the bullet points. But through it all, I've really relished the opportunity to just slow down and get to know people, and that's where I believe that my leadership has taken off. It's through people that companies perform, and that we get things done a lot better and with a lot more fun. What I'm doing for fun recently is taking some risks that are off the beaten path. Let's see if you would agree. So this same time last year, my husband and I were preparing for a private Grand Canyon whitewater expedition. So we rode the Colorado River through the Grand Canyon and successfully led 14 people through a 270-mile trip.
Oh my goodness.
So that was last year. This year, we are going to hike a portion of the Pacific Crest Trail. We're targeting 50 miles or more. Never done it. And that's okay. So that's what life is about, is adventure. So
okay, yeah, that counts. That's impressive, my friend. And I love that you said 50 miles or more. Like, is there more than 50 miles?
There's over 2,000 miles, 2,700 miles of the Pacific Crest Trail from Mexico to Canada. And I am researching the segment of 50 miles or so that we will journey. Yeah.
Oh. Did you read the book Wild, where she takes that trip?
Yes, great book. And that kind of lived in the back of my mind, knowing that is talk about being on the tire swing. Okay. Some of your audience might not think it's the tire swing, but my version of that is doing something that would be once in a lifetime.
Yes.
And so my tire swings experiences have I have a list, and this is one of them. Is it kind of counts as one of those longer epic ones, not just the day-to-day,
yes.
2 hours on a given 7-day week or something like that. But this is an epic one. Yeah, it's going to be an epic one.
Can't wait to hear about it. And I can't wait to see your Christmas card, because I already saw some of this on your Christmas card, Michelle.
That's true.
Well, when you mentioned the tire swing, and I'll just clue our audience in, for those of you who don't know, my book has an allegory in it. And it's about this little girl who moves into womanhood and how she steps into a life with a ton of bracelets on that prevent her from really finding her fulfillment and her joy and moving on to the tire swing. So what she used to love as a kid, jumping on that tire swing, she wasn't able to do anymore. And it was due to the constant bracelets that she was having to wear. And the bracelets represent the responsibilities that increase when you grow up. And so part of 3C living is really getting clarity and confidence and courage around what are the bracelets you're balancing, and how much are you getting on that tire swing and spending time under the stars, and which bracelets do you probably need to take off, maybe for a season or maybe for good. Right. This is the whole essence of 3C living. And this is a simple allegory that I use that people really resonate with. And you're not the first one to jump on the line with me that goes, okay, Heath, I got to find my tire swing today. Or Heath, I've got too many bracelets on. I'm like, okay, I'm catching up. I know exactly where you're at. It's almost a shortcut to get us to the conversation that we need to have, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. And now I'm not waiting until I'm exhausted. It is excited anticipation to build in. And my husband and I work together. So he has his tire swing and, under the stars moment. And I do. Sometimes it's together, sometimes it's apart.
Yeah.
And it had some stops and starts, but now it is truly something that is glorious, that's elevating our marriage to another level. And talk about the bracelets. The bracelets I choose to wear are examined continuously. And I realized, going back to the story in your book, is the bracelets come with the relationships that gifted them. And so there's been just an honoring of those bracelets where the giver continues to be in my life. And when it's no longer serving me, actually it's a process. It gets to be okay when that is, being separated by virtue of the fact that I no longer live in California. I've lost some of those relationships. Some of the bracelets that I thought I wore were still on my wrist, to be honest. And it took the gazing at the stars moment and being able to deliberately say, oh, wait, there's an emotion. Oh, okay. What's that emotion telling me? And is that a clue into something else? And that's something you had taught me, Heather, is an emotion is not just this compartment of who I am. It is who I am. It surges through me. It is a part of me. And if I just recognize it and not get too attached or start to judge another meism, like it just like, no, let's just take a look at what that emotion is all about, and then increase the emotions that cultivate, just the vibrant life, peace, love, and fun, and laughter.
Fulfillment. All levels of fulfillment. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to break it down. And while I'm breaking it down, I'm going to ask you to think of some examples, or an example of how you're applying 3C living. But it's reminding me of a conversation that I had today. I'm coaching all day, every day, and I'm loving it, but I'm giving people a quick shortcut with 3C living. And so I want to share it right here, just because the language around it is going to empower every listener to stop and do a mental check to basically say, am I going in the right direction? Do I even want this bracelet anymore? Or do I just need to take it off for a season? Or when was the last time I went my tire swing? So, and to your point, emotions are a huge part of helping us identify that. So I want to start with clarity. Clarity is always about what we know. What is true in front of you? What do you know? I'm exhausted. I realize I haven't been on my tire swing. I haven't pulled back from work and doing everything that I do. I've been doing a lot of productivity. That starts with clarity. What do I know? Confidence starts with, what am I believing? Well, I can't stop work. The world will stop spinning. A lot of my tired moms, working moms, are doing this. They're trying to balance the kids, the home, the work, and they literally feel like, I can't. There's no time to stop. As long as we believe that, our confidence will not increase. It will only wane. So it's this awareness of realizing you get to go back and find your tire swing. So the true belief with that, with our confidence, is really about what we're believing and saying, yeah, I get to have a tire swing. I get to balance my bracelets. And then the courage piece is all about taking action and moving forward. So as we think about this idea of clarity, what do we know? Confidence, what are we believing? And courage, how are we moving forward? What's an example that's coming to mind for you, Michelle?
Yeah, the example that's coming to mind is, with my career. I have, we just mentioned a few moments ago that there's a part of me that just resonates when I am achieving and helping create results. And around the end of every year, I sit down and focus on what the new year would look like. And when I sat down and walked through the clarity piece and then revisited, what are my intentions? What do I get to keep in my life? And where's the mind going? So that was another thing was, oh, here I am journaling. Oh yeah, that sounds good. So career-wise would be stepping into different leadership, skills that I get to perform, and the contribution I get to make in my company. Great. And then there's this, like, I don't know what you call it, just this little puppet or something. And I'm like moving my hands right now. It looks like a puppet. Oh, you can't really. Michelle, are you sure, Michelle?
Yeah.
And the reasons why this is not possible. And I went through a couple of rounds of that until I arrested that mind chatter and I started asking better questions.
You read my book, like, Michelle.
Right. Yeah. But it was, so what's my question? How do I get to?
Yep.
How do I get to? Now, the question I was asking is, I should be already at this level. I should be. But the better question that I came up with, how do I get to? And what if it was possible? And only when I allowed that, I actually felt like a relief in my heart to just say, oh, yeah, okay, let's dream. What is it that's possible? And I committed and I wrote a contract that Michelle will get to. And there's a list of things that I love. And professionally, it's around the types of projects and contribution I get to participate in, and the people that I will help along the way, because it's not just about me stepping into leadership. It's about others stepping into their own leadership potential. And I wrote a contract.
Oh, I love that.
And then the last part of it is, the compensation and all the benefits. And by the way, that was very interesting because the mind chatter again was like, oh, Michelle, that's asking for something that's beyond that's for the other people. And then again, it's like, what if it was possible? And then the intention followed through. So when I got that cleared and I tucked it away in my journal, and I committed it into my heart, I created a true belief.
I love it. And what's your true belief?
And the true belief is that I am uniquely qualified to be, the world depends on me for my unique qualifications. And what that really emboldens me is there's nobody else that could do what I could do, because every one of us is unique. And then that arrests the competition monster is what I call it, is like, oh, somebody else is going to come back. That's better. Only one person could be a gold medalist. By the way, I don't believe that. Everybody can be gold medalists if they want. In honor of the Winter Olympics, everybody can win the gold. And so why not me? Why not me?
Yes. Why not you?
Yeah.
I love that. I'm sorry, I have to interject because I love what you just said. And I want to make sure our listeners hear it. Your question shifted away from, how do I have to blank, fill in the blank, endure this life, endure this next phase, endure what I signed up for, whatever it is. And it shifted into, how do I get to invite in higher levels of fulfillment, have more joy, do what I love, have more purpose, connect with my passion. Just that simple act alone opens up your clarity. Yeah. And so as you're asking the right question and you're recognizing the mind chatter, I mean, you can hardly get the good question out before the mind chatter just comes in, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. I believe it's because I am, I have practiced using my intellect. So then there's always that internal dialogue that helps with the analytical critical thinking. But when it comes to what we're discussing, it can become an anchor, a weight from my experience. And it has its place because it's sort of, again, it's a clue, but it's not the entire picture.
Right. And it squashes your heart.
Yeah.
Right. When your heart's trying to dream, you can't have the analytical saying, well, how are you going to do that? Your heart has to have the permission to kind of dream and say, what do I get to? What if I really get to live this life? Hence the title of my book, The Life You're Made For. What if I really get to live the life that only I'm made for, that brings me so much immeasurable joy and happiness and passion and purpose? What if? I mean, if we were all asking that question, doesn't that it almost gives me chills because I just think if humanity found that they got to ask that question and answer it, what a powerful world we would be living in.
It would be powerful. And so immediately for me, once I created that clarity, was going back into the confidences. Okay, because I know the noise and the mind chatter and the naysayers. By the way, these aren't people. They're like me. Some sort of like the worst enemy is that critic inside. Is okay. It's that confidence part. What's the true belief? What is it? And so I have written it where I understand it. It's a shorthand, and I've drawn it. So I use art, which is also something you suggest.
Yes. Right side of the brain, folks.
Right. Yes. And so I've gone to Hobby Lobby, and I've got felt, and I've got scissors. It's out there, and I'm creating something to for this year to make sure that belief has a presence in my life in different parts of the room, and so forth. And then as far as bucking up and taking action, that courage, it's surrounding myself with back to it's interesting because clarity, you restorative rest is clarity. But I think for me, to have courage means I am so rested, I can I can move into action.
Yes.
It's so intertwined for me to say, how can I live in that tension?
Yep.
And then move despite the fear.
Yes.
And so to wrap back up on my story is that intention was so clear that in a matter of less than 25 days, I was able to move forward in my career that I honestly can't believe. I have been elevated in my position in my company.
Congratulations.
And I have the backing of the CEO founder, as well as the board and investors, and we are aligned in our purpose of moving the company forward. Had I not created that personal vision and clarity, I may have stepped into a conversation unprepared, that I wasn't qualified.
Yes.
Oh, that just hurts to say that I wasn't the right person.
Yeah.
And I just rebuke that. I just rebuke all of that to say I was there in the right moment and I spoke the right words, and I'm present and fully committed. So yeah. So
How
that's
exciting.
I know. I am. I mean, and it's only February, and so the rest of the year, I can't wait. Truly, the commitment is following through, and there's peace. And that's another thing I know when I'm doing 3C's living, Heather. there is like Nothing that will trip me up. Nothing.
Yep.
Because why? I have been fueled up.
Yep.
I have inside out, outside in. No matter what's being thrown, whether it's windy outside, my hair might get tousled, but inside there is a true solid, just self-love that I have been, I am living it. And that's what life is about. There'll always be opportunities to be tousled.
Yeah, so well said. I love that you said that. You said something earlier about courage, and I wanted to follow up on it because you told me in our pre-conversation, when we got to connect just a couple minutes, sometimes taking action is simply carrying around your true beliefs. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because we don't want to tell our listeners that you got to go do something dramatic and jump off a cliff, because that's courage. Sometimes courage is just saying, one of the hardest and most courageous, bravest things I can do right now is dare to believe what if. Tell us a little bit of how you grounded yourself in that. You held up a piece of paper before we started. Tell us a little bit about your system of how that worked.
Yeah. So for your listeners, I encourage you to take your time and fill in the blanks where Heather has the fill in the blanks, because I've had the opportunity to do that. And so what Heather's talking about is a font size 10, both sides filled in, of all my true beliefs listed. And it's kind of tearing at the crease. But what happens is I look at these and I commit them to my heart. So there's a differentiate. I don't commit them to memory. I don't have to have them memorized, but I commit them to my heart so that my heart can sing them. So when I got to have that conversation with my my current manager, the CEO and founder of the company, I buckled up. I was like, I get to speak from truth, my truth, and my boldness and power, and it is legitimate. And so when I finally said, okay, you're going to open your mouth, Michelle, and what comes out is going to come from your entire truth. So I did. And what I noticed, Heather, is that invited my the other person into be with me, to be an active listener, because I demonstrated being an active listener. And I was first actively listening to me, myself, and what was going on inside me. So carrying my true belief is as easy as remembering something that is affirming and what I call spirit building. And then I say, well, I get to enjoy this journey. It's not about perfection. That's something else you taught me. It's about progress.
Yes.
And so the next time I can speak, even I could correct myself. Because that's another learning is I don't have to be perfect every conversation, every meeting, every moment, but I get to be present and authentic.
And I have to pause there because I've got a lot of high achievers listening. Did you hear that false belief? The false belief is I have to be perfect. These are for a lot of the people that I work with because they are running the world. They're doing great things. And it has to shift into this true belief that says, I don't have to be perfect. In fact, not when I fail, but when I fail, I get to course correct and I get to learn from it and I get to love myself through it. I mean, it gets to be a heart and head process of I'll learn from it. I'll do better next time. And I get to love myself through it, not shame myself through it. That's where we become a higher level of human beings to step into that.
So can I read to you exactly what my paper says?
Well, that was going to be my next question. Would you mind sharing a couple true beliefs? Because I know our listeners would love to hear them.
Okay. False belief. I've got to have all my ducks in a row all the time, because if not, I will disappoint people. And don't ever make a mistake. Oh, true belief. True belief. I get to soak up as much as I can and enjoy the journey.
And which one makes you exhale?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Just notice saying that. And this is for my listeners. Say a false belief and feel your body. Mine starts feeling tense. I can feel it in my gut. Sometimes I literally start getting a headache. My shoulders start hunching. And then I'll say my true belief. It feels like I'm just exhaling.
Another false belief. there's always a mistake around the corner that can take me out. True belief. There's no mistake too big to come from. Comfort and ease because I am confident.
Love it. Love it. And Michelle, you know, I got to work with you through some hard seasons too, and walk alongside the journey with you. It's not like everything is rainbows and unicorns. That's not what we're saying, right?
No, it's not.
We're going to get hits. We're going to get zingers. We're going to get curveballs. We're going to get the rug pulled out from underneath us. It's how we rise and get back up again. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah. That goes back to when when the storm is hitting, and it could be at any point in life where I'm just feeling bogged down. Like for example, with the change of moving from California to Southwest Washington, there's just, getting used to things was different. So the storm was just how to get settled in. And I go back to who are those that are giving, that are there to support me. And I got to ask for help.
Hard thing to do for an achiever.
Well, I'm covering my eyes, Heather. Yes, I got to ask for help. I got to be vulnerable. So what I started imagining was Michelle going through the store and like, oh, there's a problem. I'm hitting the problem. And there's another problem. So my hands are flying around like a boxer because there's just so many problems. And then I realized that as I was moving forward, I was missing the support system. So then I imagined whoever I would call, whether it's a girlfriend, and sometimes it's a text message, is my girlfriend has her hands on my shoulder as I'm walking through the day's challenges. And that in my imagination, she's rooting for me as I make it through my schedule, which of course blows up to pieces. But that's the point, is the time passed by. I didn't collapse, or maybe it wasn't as bad as I imagined. And then I got to text back my friend is, thank you for sending that message because it helped me. And so when things are rocky, I learned through the 3 C's living, it's a community that gets to support me. Being a lone ranger is a false belief in of itself.
So true. So true. And I'll just say, I'm just going to make a confession here with our listeners. I'm not above this, Michelle, even though I teach this and I come up with it. Last year, I'll just be honest with everybody, it was a big, important year. I would launch my book, had a lot going on. I, for the first time, started drinking coffee with caffeine. I know I can't handle this. I know this. I've never been able to handle this. It just kind of puts me on overload. But I wanted that little extra oomph because I was already in 5th gear. So I needed to find a 6th or the 7th gear. You know how achievers are, right? And I've got to get this book launched. So I started doing coffee in the morning and I started noticing I was talking faster and faster, but I was getting the work done. So it was and I'm not going to, this is not a coffee shaming conversation. I used it until I started realizing it was working against me. And that's when I realized, Heather, you're sounding a little aggressive. You're sounding a little stressed. Nothing of what you're doing is getting motivated by any kind of peace. And I realized the false belief that was creeping up is stress is what motivates me.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I realized the true belief, which feels, and this is where I'm always telling people, the true belief will feel too good to be true. But the true belief for me was I get to be motivated by peace. That is a huge shift for someone who's used to, everything going on and the swirling around us. And we're actually pretty good at the storm, and we know how to spin not just 5 plates, but we got 20 spinning at any given moment. I mean, and it kind of gives us a high and we're good at it. Well, we don't have enough common sense. So we had another 20 plates, not like 1 or 2, right, Michelle?
No, it has to be a round number, 20, 30.
Exactly. And then we have our sweet friends in our lives. And in my corner of the world, having my sweet kids and my husband going, Mom's doing it again. So I guess I want to encourage our listeners. It's okay. Know your Achilles heels. Yes. And that's why Michelle and I joke with each other. Oh yeah. One fellow achiever to another, one overachiever to another. We love that we can achieve, and we're never going to apologize for that. But we're going to be honest about the fact, what is our achievement being motivated by? For me, if it's being motivated by more and more caffeine, which I have no business drinking, which I'm off of, by the way, everybody, I'm off of it. And look how energetic I still am and how fast I still talk. I mean, can you imagine that with caffeine, huh? So it's just learning how to notice the signs and allowing people in your life, like you mentioned, a community that say, hey, Hev, I love you. You might be running a little fast. Hey, Michelle, maybe we could put 10 of those plates down and do a normal amount of plates. Maybe we could look at our bracelets. And I even have close friends in my life, and I'll probably add you to my list now too, after this conversation, where I will just send out a random text of, here's the true belief I'm trying to step into, or here's the false belief I'm trying to push away. And today it feels really true.
Yeah.
And just having those encouraging, safe people in your life that know how to help you reject the false beliefs and the true beliefs, whether you're using that language or not, is really not the point. It's knowing who is participating in weighing you down with more and more bracelets, who's participating in those false beliefs, and how do we navigate away from them or educate them? Hey, that's not helping. Or recognizing they're full on toxic, we have to step back and be more selective. More importantly, then how do we start growing and cultivating a community around this that is so for our true beliefs and recognizes it's not about perfection. It's about the progress and the journey.
Yeah, it is about the progress and journey. Yeah. And what I love is that you're right. It does. They don't, the terms and the language I use with them is, secondary to the intent that I wanted to be reciprocal. So I also want to impart that it's not a take. It's a give and take, much like my marriage and with our kids and things like that. It's a give and take. So with those that are part of my support network, it's how do I give back as well? And that's another part of 3C's living that is a multiplier effect of the goodness that I cultivate is spilling over to others. And it's not necessarily, say, material, tangible. It's a lot of encouragement and emotions and really sort of the soul level. Granted, I have to admit, a lot of my friends don't live in Southwest Washington. They're all over the world. And that's where I've also learned where my community doesn't not need to physically be here. Ideally, it would be, they could be anywhere as long as if there was an alignment in the relationship. And again, it's mutual. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw a question from you about that come through. My podcast producer, do you want to tackle that right now? I think I have in front of me. Stepping into deeper friendships, even through isolation and distancing.
Yes.
Let's go there. Let's talk about that, because that is one of my highest listened podcasts is painful friendships.
Yeah.
So,
my question, Heather, is that I realize that a lot of my friends are either back in California or elsewhere in the world. And one of my intentions this year is to cultivate more local friends. And perhaps we can talk through there's something that seems to be like how is it possible? I'm feeling stuck. Can I just say that? I'm feeling stuck about how to go about it. And in a way, admittedly, I feel shy. Listen, here in the West Coast, and I don't know how it is in the other parts of the country, we still have to wear masks everywhere. So I don't feel genuine with my face covered. And there's still not as many opportunities to go out and, meet people. So that's my question is, what would your advice be? And how do I go and, take a look at this as an intention and incorporate it in my life?
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to walk you right through it. Let's do coaching right now, Michelle. So I'm always checking for your clarity. So the clarity is I'm a little lonely. I'm feeling a little isolated, particularly after the move. And we have some barriers between us, like pandemic, masks, all this stuff that's not making it easy to connect in natural ways like before. So that's kind of your clarity. The confidence, I would say, this is going straight to your mindset and belief. This is what you want really to get straight. What are you believing about friendships?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm taking a pause because the first thought, best thought, as you have always told me, and that is what came up is friendship takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And who am I? Who am I that somebody would want to be friends with?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting, Heather. That is interesting. Yeah.
Thank you for your honesty and your transparency, because you're not alone in this. And of course, then I'll say, okay, we want to grapple with that belief. And we want to understand why that false belief is haunting you. Yeah. I don't feel worthy of it. I don't feel loved. And sometimes, of course, it goes back into our childhood or other circumstances where we felt the rejection, which all of us have felt the pain of rejection. But you want to really grapple with that at the heart level, kind of the mindset level. So it all starts from within.
Right.
And I think then the true belief is something like, I get to enjoy attracting new friends. I'm worthy of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And even then and I've this has happened to me. I've moved many times in life, and I've tried to create new friends, and some of them treat me like I look weird and needy, and I have felt that rejection like everybody. But I think when I'm grounded in a true belief, it allows me to kind of just laugh it off and go, that was awkward. Versus, oh my gosh, I feel so shame. I knew I wasn't worthy. I knew I wasn't lovable. I knew nobody would want to be my friend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think as we move into that mindset of just that, I get to be loved, I get to enjoy friendships, I get to cultivate it. It allows us to step into those true beliefs so that we can start attracting those opportunities and also navigate some of the awkward ones without it taking us out, where then we over isolate, right? Because we're like just so hurt with the direct rejection.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. And, to sit down and reflect on why that initial answer to your question of what's coming up is something I could sort through. And you're right about childhood and maybe some other experiences that somehow is continuing to be the anchor of that false belief. When you said enjoy, my reaction was really enjoy. And then back to our earlier conversation, what if I get to enjoy? Yes. So I went back to the question of yes, I actually sensed it. I felt it as I get to enjoy meeting new people and reaching out and it doesn't have to hurt.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I can see it. I can see the epiphany crossing your face. And so then we move into the courage piece. How do you want to respond to this?
Yeah. I there's it's interesting. I see in various social feeds that I have of gatherings, and I have, confessions to you and all your listeners. I have come up with reasons why that night and this night and some other reason it wasn't possible. And so it's a matter of stopping the excuses. There's no more excuse.
Yes.
There's really no reason.
Yes.
Now that I'm talking about it and it feels safe to talk about it with you, is why not me? Yes. And it's just one, right, Heather?
Just one. We don't need a lot. And I think then you want to get, and I'm a 51-year-old middle-aged woman. So who I wanted in friendship at 51 is very different who I wanted at 21 or 31. And I'm fastly approaching empty nest and I'm working with a very thriving, successful company. What I'm looking for in friendship, I had to learn to really own. So, I had to start really, and I'm still doing it, Michelle. I'm kind of in where you're at because I don't have time to cultivate those deep heart friendships. So I started realizing I get to have very low maintenance friends where I may pick up the phone and call them in a year and we pick up where we left off. I literally had a false belief that I wasn't allowed to have that. If I'm not talking to them every day, I don't deserve to have them as a friend. And then I realized, what am I doing? That's not even what I like. I was just trying to please what I was told that I'm supposed to be as a friend. You know what I mean? And so then I kept those friends in my life. Not that they were bad people, but they weren't really working for my style of what I needed from friends. I needed to start accepting myself that I do love doing a lot. I do have 20 plates spinning. I love an active full life. I want friends who aren't resenting me for that are loving me from it. And then like, oh, that's Head. We'll hear from her in about a month. Or, she's off and running, but we're cheering her on. We'll know she'll circle around. When I began to believe that I got to have that, I started really cultivating that. And I honestly started leading more with that. And I'm still working at it. I'll be honest. When I start feeling that pressure that I have to respond a certain way that I'm not, I'll just say, hey, you know what? I'm the type of friend that you may go off and do things for like a year or two, and you may not ever hear from me, but just know my door is always open. You get to always pick up the phone and just pick up where we left off. You're not going to get any kind of resentment from me or punishment from me of like, where have you been? And I realized as I started leading with that and really moving into that more, I started attracting that more and more. And I'm still working on that and still learning how to trust that I get to have that.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
That does make sense.
Yeah.
That your personal story is inspiring, Heather. And the reason is that friendship, like you said, is has a time span also, and also the distance and time in between doesn't matter. And so I receive that, and I'll take that into account when I meet my first new friend in Southwest Washington. Yay!
Yay! And then what you also want to do is just get more clarity for yourself of what I'm looking for.
Right.
And I'm in the process of doing it. So I'll give myself an example. I realized I'm not really good at just hanging out at big parties. That doesn't do it for me. I need connection and depth. And honestly, I was embarrassed about that. I didn't want to be honest about that because I felt like a party pooper. So I was like, oh, just keep showing up and having fun. And I'm like, I'm not having fun. And honestly, I'm working too hard now to fake it anymore because I'm tired after coaching and working all day and doing all the exciting stuff that I love doing. So when I meet someone for friendship time, I had to get really honest what I needed. I want a long walk. I want a long dinner out where nobody's looking at the clock. I want I just started a book club I'm doing with 2 other people. I want to just sit down and talk with you guys face to face and just hear about this book. These are things I began to realize that I wanted to cultivate. And it also helped me be much more selective for what I needed to step away from that was kind of using up my friendship energy.
Yeah.
And then I had to notice when I was walking away, either feeling fulfilled or whether I was feeling exhausted. And I realized when I'm feeling exhausted, honestly, it's on me. I'm trying to participate in something that is not me.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing them any favors by doing it. Like, let them go find someone they really want to find, or just be honest with them. And when I started being more and more honest about, hey, this is who I am as a person. And then I was much more, because I was moving into the true belief of I get to be loved and enjoyed. And in the case of my husband, and adored. Yes. Moving into 30 years of marriage over here. So I think it's just this awareness of what is it that we're believing that's kind of holding us back from attracting the friendships. Once you get that clarity and that confidence of what you know you want, what you're believing, then you can move into the courage piece. And that's where you want to start really defining, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for some deep conversations. The other thing I got really concrete about was I'm not really good with weekly stuff. Once I admitted that to myself, I think it took me 20 years. I'm a little embarrassed to say, but I was like, I kept trying to do the weekly things. I don't like the weekly things. It's like comes around too quick. Monthly is probably a better fit for me, maybe twice a month, but if I could just have like a monthly dinner, or a monthly connection, or a monthly walk, that's all I need. The funny thing is I started realizing I'm pretty low maintenance.
You are what you want to attract too.
Exactly. But I was trying to be something I wasn't for some of these people that want the daily interactions, or wants, the weekly things, or I realized I'm not good at that. If that's what you're looking for, I want to tell you up front so you're not disappointed. And I don't try and tap dance for you. I'll just tell you. The funny thing is I started realizing it was freeing more people up to go, oh, thank God, I'm not that either. How long have we all been playing this game? I'm trying to do something what none of us like. So it gives an opportunity for kind of what you're saying earlier, to create the community around you. It invites in more clarity, more confidence, more courage to be who you authentically need to be, to show up for your best life.
Right. And something too that is that's appeared to be important in this season of my life is I'm talking about friends that will be willing to be away from devices and actually have a connection. I'm not knocking social media. It's a season in my life where I'm really looking for across the table. Let's go have coffee. Yeah. Or well, except Heather, if you're here in Southwest, I'll let you have tea. Okay.
I'll have decaf. I'm still drinking decaf.
Yeah. Well, it's sitting across the table and having the presence. It's become important, and it's no longer possible for me to ignore because I've already gone down that route of, what the alternatives are. So it's the physical friendship where, to the point where what the friendship I'm looking for is where if I needed to go help, I will be there, that kind of friend. Yes. And vice versa. If something was going, happening in their lives, they can count on me because I am trustworthy. That's the heartfelt excitement that I now have. And after having this conversation with you, that's a deeper extension, is truly a friend.
Yes. Yes, truly a friend. Well, and you hear me talk about this a little bit in my book. I open up with my faith is important to me. I don't talk about it much throughout the book because I really try and respect where everybody's at and where they're coming from. But I also feel like I want to be so upfront and honest of this is what helps me. And I know your faith is important to you as well. And I want to just ask the question, how has your faith supported 3C living?
Always, all the time. Yes, ma'am. Amen. How is it supporting? One of the things that I now practice, and it was stop and start from the moment I met you and you coached me to now, is grounding my identity in my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And so I excitedly get up when my alarm rings and I spend time with the Lord. And it is the most precious moment in my life. Talk about restorative rest. I just woke up from sleep. And then before I get going, I spend time with him. And this is what it looks like. It is worship music in my ears. I am stretching and I am simply just reminding myself of how I am loved and I am a lover. That's that dropped in my lap probably 7 months ago. I am loved and I am a lover. And this love cannot be replaced. It is an eternal love. And it makes my soul dance and sing. And the words flow. Unfailing kindness, singing for joy. And I just feel like if I can encourage people that would be listening to this, is believe in something larger than you, that then you could just say for Heather, you and I, it's God. Yes. It's Christ. So it's true. It's like sipping the living water for me every morning. And it's now something that I cherish. It's, I don't know. It's hard to describe, but perhaps if a podcast can show a smile, I am truly smiling inside out. That's all I can say. Is there's so much peace that comes when I am in my element, my secret room with Jesus.
That's beautiful. I love that. And I love what you said of just knowing that you have something beyond yourself that loves you and is so for you. And for me, it really grounds me in my true beliefs, because the true beliefs don't always feel true, do they, Michelle?
No.
And to tell myself that this is true isn't enough. But when I know the creator of the universe is supporting those true beliefs, I don't know, it gives me a little bit more oomph, gives me a little bit more gas in my tank, and it grounds me and it roots me, and it says, I'm going to dare to believe it. That's the most courageous thing I can do. I'm going to dare to believe it. I'm going to believe that I'm being led and I'm being guided. And one of my favorite true beliefs is I'm being led and being guided. And on those days when I don't feel led and guided,
you go back to that true belief.
You got it. You go back to that true belief and keep it in front of you. Well, I'm going to wrap us up here. So I guess what I want to do, and I always wrap up with this question. Okay. What encouragement do you want to leave with our listeners?
My encouragement to your listeners is to dare to be you. Back to what I said earlier, is there's only one you. You're so unique, just like I'm unique. And there's no room for comparison in this life. To live, what's the book say? To live the life you're made for. Because yes. Only you could do that. And because there's only one you and you're unique, then go ahead and create and design your life. So 3C's living is about designing my life. It is not about, living my life, or it's not prescriptive. It is so creative, Heather. And so I encourage the creativity in people, and to really read the book from that perspective of how am I designing my life, and what is that life, and anticipate it. So it's a brand new day tomorrow. So
love it, man. I'm inspired. Thank you, my friend. Your joy is contagious. I've always loved that about you.
Yes. Thank you, Heather, for having me.
You're welcome. I'll see you soon.
Yes. See you soon.
Thanks for listening. And please drop a review. It really helps us out wherever you're listening from. And if you want to find out more about your clarity, your confidence, and your courage, go ahead and get my book, and you can find it at heatherpenny.com. Cheering you all on.